All right, everyone, welcome. We're going live on YouTube. We're going live on the Instagram. Instagram is at RadRadoslav. YouTube is at Radoslav Detchev. We're talking about working out, training, best ways to do both. We'll talk about fasting as well, and I'll take comments and questions as we go through this. So, number one, working out. Got my notes here. Holistic approach. A lot of people do many different things that in my eyes are wrong, and I'll try to explain why I think they're doing things wrong and how things can be done better. So whether you're going to the gym, you're not going to the gym, whether you're working out, not working out, this is the place to be. What's up, Sean? So as it pertains to working out, a lot of people will try to go to a gym, walk in, be confused, and then sit on a machine or go to a piece of cardio. When you're thinking about longevity, good health, not getting injured, the last thing I think about is machine training and cardio. If you want good longevity, if you want good strength, if you don't want to get injured, you want to focus on quality strength training. But before you can get to quality strength training, you need quality movements and quality reps. As you go in, understand that your body works in a holistic capacity. So if I was to sit down on a machine and do leg extensions for months on end, for years on end, what that's doing to my central nervous system is it's teaching it to engage the quadriceps muscles excessively strong and without proper coordination to the lower back and the spine. When you're seated on something, so right now I'm actually sitting on a Swiss ball. I'm just bouncing around a little bit. This Swiss ball is forcing my pelvic floor and core muscles to stabilize and engage. Because of this, it's now coordinating with all the muscles of my body to create synergy and holistic integration. If I was to sit on a leg extension machine, and basically sitting on a machine will turn off my stabilizers or really greatly reduce the amount that I need to stabilize with my pelvis, my pelvic floor, and my lower back muscles. Because of this, we're now skipping the nervous system pathway that's supposed to happen where, let's say I think about throwing a ball or kicking a ball or picking up anything. Before my arm or my limb or my leg moves, the brain has to activate the spinal cord. And usually there's about a 0.4 millisecond delay between me moving my arm and me activating my spine. So in practicality, that means I don't move my arm before I engage my spine. If I do, I'm now going to get an injury because I'm putting out too much power for something that can not be controlled. When you sit on a machine for weeks, months, years at a time, that problem just gets aggravated. You become more and more strong in a position of artificial stability that when you go to kick a real ball or lift something in real life, those quad muscles, those bicep muscles, all those big show muscles that you've built up, it's the equivalent of firing a cannon from a canoe. You've got all this power, you can shoot really hard, but there's no stability, there's no accountability happening. Without training stability first and having ingrained good movement patterns, there's no point in putting strength into the system. So going to the gym and pushing heavy weights on machines that lock you into artificial positions can help build muscle. There is a time and place for it. But if you're looking for overall longevity and health and not being injured, the best thing you can do is invest in your education, watch YouTube videos, read books. There's so much good information out there, but there's also a lot of bad information out there. And so experimenting and really finding out what works for you is super important. Body weight training is honestly one of the best and most effective ways to start training. Anyone can do some variation of a squat, some variation of a lunge, barring you have functioning legs, some variation of a push-up, some variation of a pull-up, a few band exercises just to get you moving and having the whole core engage synergistically. Okay, I'm reading some questions here. Morning Dew is asking, said I've had success with fasting before, but I always get concerned with hair loss. How to combat that? Hair loss from fasting. Well, that's genetics. I don't really know how to correlate and tell you what's going to happen with fasting. But in a Chinese medicine perspective, I really like fasting. If you've read my book, How to Lose Weight Without Working Out or Counting Calories, you know I do advocate fasting. However, in Chinese medicine, they don't. And the top of your head for hair, for people losing hair, is correlated to the kidneys in Chinese medicine. And the kidneys are correlated to longevity. They're like the battery for the entire body. If your battery's low, all the other systems are going to function low. If your battery's high, everything else is going to function high. So when you're born, there's two types of battery reserves. The ones you're given from your parents, and then the ones you generate during life. So you have this initial battery from your mother or your father, how healthy they were, how much battery they had, like how old they were, and how much they have to give to you. And then from there, it's how you take care of yourself. So what are you eating, your stress levels, how are you taking care of your body? That's going to dictate those energy levels. As you get older, your ability to generate energy and battery from your digestion reduces. Therefore, it starts to tap into the kidney reserves. That's why you notice males start to get that pattern baldness around 25, 30, slowly creeping in as you get older, because your kidneys in Chinese medicine theory are starting to run lower and lower on energy. This is just a theory. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem with your kidneys. But yeah, just on that. Sean from Ireland is asking, I have a problem with my fat on my abs and they're not going away. Even when I walk and do cardio, I even change my eating habits help. Okay. Stress, two different avenues that pop up into my mind right now. If you have fat on the abdomen that just doesn't want to go away, it could be stress related and you're holding too much water because of it. Or you might have a fungus and parasite infection. This is huge for people that tell me that they've done everything, they've changed. If you're still perceivably doing everything right, I think there's a lot of mental, emotional, spiritual problems that people don't understand how to address. And this is what I work with people one-on-one to do, is to go in. But on a surface level, you may have a fungus and parasite. And that's why you're still retaining water, fat, feeling low energy, could even have Lyme disease, even though you're doing everything theoretically right. And from that perspective, I highly recommend going to my friend's website. It's called savageandsaint.com. If you join his email list, you get a free PDF. It's like 6-7 pages, really good, explaining how to do an antifungal and anti-parasite protocol. I talk about this all the time with people. Very important if you're trying to really achieve good, solid health. So thank you for the questions. Feel free to throw more questions in there. Make sure to hit that like button. Let's get these going. So we're talking about working out, going to the gym, machines versus body weights. I want to get into something that originally really changed my perception. Naya, perfect. You're asking for suggestions to build muscle, and that's exactly where I'm going to right now. Is rep ranges, sets by the books. So if you're to open most books and ask most trainers what sets and reps are good for building strength, building muscle, and building endurance, these are the ones. Take out your pen and paper right now. These are very important. If you're not even considering these, you shouldn't go to the gym, because you're just lifting weight without any objective or purpose, and it's not going to get you where you want. A lot of people, especially women, go to the gym, lift the 5-pound weights, do 20 reps, call it a day. It's not really doing anything. There's about 5 factors to address here. So intensity, volume, reps, sets, and rest. All 5 factors are important in determining what you're trying to train. If you're trying to train strength, you want relatively lower volume, higher intensity. And what does that mean? It means I'm doing sets of reps of 1 to 5. 5 is on the higher end of this strength curve. If you're doing 1 rep of a weight that you can only lift 1 time, you're now doing 100% effort, or a 1 rep max. You could not do a second rep. That is absolute pure strength training at its highest level. In order to achieve this, let's say I'm lifting 500 pounds off the ground for 1 rep. In order to achieve this for multiple sets, I need to have adequate rest time, anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. Because there's 3 energy systems, and when you're training one of the 3. Actually, you're training all of them, but you're training, yes, thank you for sharing that, savageandsaint.com. My appreciation for that. So when you're training one of the 3 systems, you're training all of them at the same time. When you're doing strength training, you're using the energy provided in your muscle. The energy provided directly here is called the creatine phosphate energy system, or the anaerobic alactic energy system, which means you're using the energy in that muscle to produce effort or force. They're just like sprinting, you can only do it for 7 to 10 seconds. Just like lifting an absolute heavy weight, you can only do it for a certain amount of time. After that, you must rest anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes in order to recover and repeat that effort. If I tried to lift 100% of my strength and do that rep every 30 seconds, every minute and a half, it's going to fail and I'm not going to produce strength training results. Likewise, if I'm trying to build muscle, write this down, you generally want to stay in the rep range of 8 to 12. If I can barely do 8, I would go a lighter weight or an easier variation. If I'm easily going over 12, you generally want to add more weight so you can't go over 12. But the other factor that I, for myself, for a long time didn't take in consideration is the rest period. Because these different energy systems require different rest to recover so that you can put that same effort back in. For example, if you're trying to get hypertrophy or build muscle mass, you want to rest about 60 to 120 seconds. I like the sweet spot of 90 seconds. You basically don't feel that recovered. You're trying to build up lactic acid to cause metabolic damage in there. You're trying to lift heavy weight as best as you can with good form in that 8 to 12 range to produce. There's 3 basically things that will cause muscle building. You got to damage the muscle, you got to put tension into the muscle, and you got to put metabolites into the muscle. If you do one of these 3, chances are your muscles are going to grow. The more of these you do, bigger chance your muscles are going to grow. So that's why rep ranges are extremely important here. Strength range, 1 to 5, and you want to take a break of 3 to 5 minutes. Track the breaks, because there was a time in my career where I didn't track these breaks. And basically, you're going from session to session where one session you take a 3-minute break and then the next one you take a 90-second break, but you're not aware of it. And because of that, you're wondering like, wow, last week I did this many reps and this, why am I so weak today? Because last week you took a 3-minute break and this week you only gave yourself a minute and a half to recover your energy systems. So rest is a common mistake that I see people making and not tracking. Next is the reps and the sets, volume and intensity. If you're trying to get stronger, you generally want lower volume, less reps overall, and more intensity, so a heavier weight. If you're trying to put on muscle, you want a moderate amount of intensity and a moderate amount of volume. If you're trying to work on just strength, run a long distance, whatever cardio thing you're trying to do, generally longer time, more reps, 15 to 20 reps. That being said, none of this is absolute. Different people have different opinions and different things matter. So Nazine is asking me, do reps matter? Do you limit 5 reps and then increase load at next session, or you increase the reps instead? So Nazine, it depends on your goal. If you're doing sets of 5 initially, chances are you're trying to work on strength. So a 5x5 set is a typical standard walk into the gym. Anybody can do it. So I do 5 sets of bench press at 5 reps. I warm up with a few sets. I figure out what weight I'm going to work at today, 135, 225 pounds. And then I go to complete 5x5. So how do you progress that workout to workout, I think is what you're asking. So let's say the first workout, I'm doing 135 pounds. I can do 3 sets of 5 reps. And then my last 2 sets, I only get 4 and 3. When I come back into the gym the next time, I try and bump those 4 and 3 so I can get 5x5. Okay, it really depends on the goal, and there's so many ways to skin a cat on this. 5x5. Once I can get 5x5, then you add a little bit of weight. Chances are you'll be able to do the first 1, 2, 3 sets and hit 5 reps. And then again, you're going to fail somewhere in the 4th set, somewhere in the 5th set, and you work to add strength. The timing is important. The rest periods are very important. If you're trying to work on strength, there's many ways to do it depending on time. If you had all day and this was your job, spend 2-3 hours in the gym to make it the optimal, most effective with good rest periods. But for most people, if you want to work out for 30 to 60 minutes a day, I would recommend a strength exercise of like a squat. Then you take 30 seconds, you do something like a push-up. Take 30 seconds, do something like a pull-up. and then take a minute or two break. So you have a circuit of 3 non combatant body parts. So I'm not doing bench press, push up, and then flies to build strength. That's really good for hypertrophy or for endurance, but not for strength. For strength, you need to be producing maximal force and maximal effort, picking up heavy things. And that's all relative to everyone. If you can do 20 pull ups, doing 5 pull ups is not strength training for you anymore. If you can only do 5 pull ups is strength training for you. So it's intensity dependent, it's volume, sets, reps. Last thing I'll touch on here is tempo, also extremely important. And that refers to how quickly you're moving the weight and how much pausing you're taking in between. So if I just bang out reps really quickly, let's say 10 reps in 10 seconds, that's a much different effect from doing 6 seconds per rep for 10 reps, which is 60 seconds now. We've done 6 times the amount of time under tension, which allows for muscle damage to occur. If you're trying to grow your muscles, you need to stimulate them and cause some damage. This damage usually occurs during the eccentric phase of a workout. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping around here a lot. If you have more specific questions, try and throw them in. Also, if you're looking for like personal consulting stuff, I'm not taking on clients right now, but there is a link in my bio. If you want to do one-on-ones, just ask questions, pick my brain, get clarity on things, feel free to go there. But basically the tempo, you don't want to be banging out because eccentric and concentric and isometric actions. Chances are you've heard of isometric, and you can think of that as a plank. You're just holding the bicep or abs or whatever muscle in a steady position without changing it. Then there's the concentric movement, which is the shrinking or the coming together of the myofibril heads to the actin that causes the muscle to come together. And then the eccentric is where muscle damage occurs. So if you're trying to achieve hypertrophy, you want to accentuate this part and to make it challenging. This is essentially where the muscle tears, the actin heads from the myosin tear, causing damage, causing your body to then have to come in and repair that damage, growing a bigger, hopefully stronger muscle. If this doesn't occur, it's very hard to achieve hypertrophy or muscle growth. So let's say I was just doing explosive jumping or explosive push-ups, quick reps. I'm now training the nervous system, but I'm not damaging the muscle very much. So something like doing hill sprints or running up stairs, there's no eccentric component. But if I'm going down a hill, I'm going downstairs, that causes the eccentric tearing and also leads to something called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. This is the reason why 1 or 2 days later you feel sore, because that muscle has been damaged, it has been torn, giving you pain. But from that pain, you will grow a bigger muscle. So really strength training. Now, something else important coming to mind is the reason you train is twofold. Well, there's many reasons, but if we're talking about strength and ability, athletic ability, injury prevention, whatever it is, there's 2 factors you're really training. That's the rate coding and then the muscle itself. When you want to produce strength, the size of the muscle matters. The more muscle, the bigger you have, the more tissue you have to pull with. However, even if you have a big muscle and more tissue, you need to activate that tissue in a coordinated manner. What do I mean? If I'm doing a single arm dumbbell press and I've never done this before, my brain doesn't know how to coordinate the nerves, and my shoulder and my spine and everything else around, it's wobbling, it's inefficient. As I train it, that pathway becomes much better. The nervous system, the brain understands the goal, and now everything can flow smooth with a good control. From there, we have these individual neurons that go into the muscle fiber to activate that fiber. And you have different types of muscle fiber for different purposes. So if I'm trying to do something for a long period of time, it's a relatively lightweight, I'm going for a long jog, my coordination is there. And then the amount of times a muscle fiber is signaled will change. If I'm doing bicep curls with 10 pounds, only a tiny fraction of that big muscle needs to be activated. Therefore, good endurance will happen because I'm using this part for this rep. Now I use this part for this rep. Now I use this part for this rep. And you can see if you use too light of a weight, you're just spreading the load between too many parts of the muscle, and you're not triggering adequate damage and stress. As the weight goes up, or as the reps increase and the muscle fatigues, then more and more units of motor units are recruited. So let's say I'm doing a heavy lift. I want to lift a weight off the ground for 500 pounds 5 times. The first time I do it, maybe 70% of my muscles are activating. Second time is 80%. Then the next time I'm trying to activate 90%. And this is the thing that's happening when you go and train some. You start doing push-ups, you start doing pull-ups, squats, deadlifts, whatever. And you suck at them initially because you don't have the coordination, you don't have the muscle mass, and you don't have that intensity to activate muscles. So untrained people can probably activate only 50% of the muscle fiber. So you have this big bicep, big quad, whatever. When you need to produce strength and peak, you're only engaging 50% of it. As you train and get stronger, especially the first month or two of training, it's not so much the damage in the muscle that's happening that's producing strength. You'll notice if you're a beginner and you start training the first few months, you're getting so much stronger, but you're not really gaining muscle mass because your body, in order to gain muscle mass, it costs a lot. And in order to gain nervous system proficiency, it costs way less. So if you go to the gym and you repeat the same movement patterns, your body becomes more efficient at triggering the nervous system and using more of the same muscle you have. So if I'm achieving 50 pounds for 5 reps with what I have right now, because I'm only engaging 50% of my muscle, as I train and I engage 55%, 60%, 70%, 80, 90, you're not going to achieve 100%. Even 90% is really reaching it. But once you're at that barrier of 80% activation of that muscle, the real way to increase strength is to start adding muscle tissue. You will keep making nervous system adaptations, but in the first 1 to 2 months, the real adaptation that occurs is nervous system. So you're working coordination and the ability to activate as many muscle fibers as you can at one point. I hope that's making things clear. Feel free to throw any questions you have right now. I'm going to go eat in the next hour. I've been doing OMAD for those of you just catching on right now. Feel free to ask me fasting questions, training, flexibility, anything on the videos. I'll repeat myself a little bit if needed. Yeah, like I said, for those of you on Instagram, go check out my YouTube, Radoslav Detchev. There's a lot of good stuff back there. 5 years worth of low back pain, how to breathe properly, how to meditate, how to work out, how to do push-ups properly. There's so much information there waiting. EDS Eyelash is asking, you are a medical scientist? I do not consider myself a medical scientist. I have a kinesiology degree. I have a Chinese medicine diploma, training from the Czech Institute on lifestyle and training. Rebecca's asking how to work around an injured knee. Okay, so let's talk about injuries and joint systems. Joints tend to be the things that get injured a lot in people because there's not enough movement. If I injure my knee or sprain my ankle, a lot of the time you're recommended to just take it easy and not put pressure on it. I personally have not followed that advice for probably 7 years. You want to consult your doctor because I'm not a doctor. Number one. But if you want my advice, this is what I do. I sprained my ankle. I sprained my wrist. I've done everything in my body. I did 6 years of judo, getting slammed on the mats. I've done every joint in my body, my neck, my spine, my hips, my knees, both of them, my wrists, both of them, my elbows, my shoulders, everything. I'll tell you right now, I feel fantastic and everything works great because when I get injured, I don't rest. I start to get movement back into the joint to, one, restore proprioception. Ankle injuries, very common, can destroy your body completely because your ankle is so important for sending signals to the rest of your body. If your bottom of your foot and your ankle is not sending signals properly because you're wearing shoes, because you have an injury, you're going to have low back pain, you're going to have neck pain, you're going to have poor organ function, you're going to have knee pain. So when you injure something like a knee or an ankle, you need to restore proprioception first. And what that is basically, I close my eyes, I can touch my nose with my finger. I know where my nose and my finger is in space. I know where my wrist is in space. When I get injured, that connection gets severed. The nerves stop functioning the same way because tendons, muscles, and ligaments get stretched and moved out of place. And that whole system and roadmap that you've built for your entire life now gets thrown out the window. If you don't start coming back to good proprioception by moving the joint, especially foot, especially knee, everything else in the system is not going to function well because it's going to be off. It's going to be compensating for something below it or above it. So let's say this represents my knee. I want to start moving my knee back in its original positions. Very important for knee and elbows specifically is you want to always be bending them when you're training. If you're doing standing stuff like standing bicep curls or single leg passovers, those are tremendous. Go to my YouTube channel if you have knee pain and just search knee rehab. I have a really good video on it. Single leg standing passovers are just the best when the knee is bent. If I straighten my elbow, now I've turned off the stabilizers. It's all just gross muscle activation. Everything's firing at the same time, and there's no proprioception being built. I'm not getting awareness of where everything is in space with it. So you need to train with a bent knee, a bent elbow if you're trying to target stabilizers, even in the shoulders, in the wrists, in the ankles. Training with bent knee, bent arms, very important. And then actually moving them. When you get damage to the tissue, let's say breaking the ankle, breaking the knee, your body starts to replenish the tissue by adding scar tissue. Natural. If I get irritation or like a scratch on my skin, scab comes over, starts to form, and you'll notice that the skin underneath it, it doesn't run the same way. It's like a grain in wood and grain. You have the grain running one way. If you try and go against the grain, it's not so good. It's not so powerful. So what scar tissue does when you get injured is it starts to just form and lay down in random assortments of patterns and bunches. If you're actively moving and trying to restore good function to that joint as soon as possible, that scar tissue becomes layered and laid in the proper direction. And now muscle tissue can function well. You get stretchability. Otherwise, you get knots and balls. This is even worse in a joint because then you're removing your original flexibility, your proprioception, and ability to function well with it. Injuries. Last thing I'll say is your joints function off of something called synovial fluid and not so much blood. There's very little blood flow through the joints. So imagine when you sit in an airplane for 8 hours, 10 hours, you're not moving your spine, you're not moving your shoulders, neck, everything. You walk out, it's like stiff, doesn't feel good. And if you already have an injury, it just exaggerates it. Because in order for your body to feel good, you need to bring nutrients to tissues and remove waste from tissues. The heart does that. The blood does that for many things, but not so much for your joints. Synovial fluid is what does that for your joints. And the only way to really activate and use synovial fluid is to move the joint. So if I put my wrist in a brace like this, synovial fluid is very stagnant and very little nutrition comes to my wrist. So I have to start moving it or pumping the muscles around it. If moving whatever injury is painful, then let's say you have a wrist injury, then what you can try and do is flex some muscle up or down the system. So if my elbow is injured, I can just do this with a very light weight to help move blood and synovial fluid through that area and encourage recovery. If you don't move that, one, that scar tissue is going to not heal in a lined up manner. And two, you're not restoring proprioception. Three, you're not encouraging synovial fluid, removal of waste, adding of nutrients. You're going to be stuck in that injury for a long time. For me, what I think is especially as important is not so much ice and getting painkillers to be out of pain. That pain response is signaling your body to go heal and recover. If, for example, I break my knee or my ankle and I inhibit that pain response with ice and get rid of the inflammation, that inflammation and pain is what's signaling the body to go heal and repair that tissue. So as your knee is repairing, as your ankle is repairing, you want to encourage a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort and movement to restore all those things I was talking about and to keep triggering your mind and body to keep sending healing agents to it. If I don't have that signal, that stressor, it's just like working out. There's no reason for my muscle to keep getting nutrients and being built and developed. Always forward saying mind-blowing insults. Glad you're getting it. If you want a recording of this, if you're joining partway through, this is going to be on my YouTube. Radoslav Detchev, link in the bio. If you're trying to lose weight, I got a book for you, How to Lose Weight Without Working Out or Counting Calories. Small plug. Or you can book a 1-hour consult with me, link in the description. Different ways to access what I'm telling you right now, because I'm just going all over the place. Someone's asking me, beginning to fast, how to start. Sean Ireland's asking how to start fasting. The most important thing before you start fasting or anything is to understand your motivation. Why? If you're asking how to start, you need to understand that fasting is a tool. Meditation is a tool. A diet is a tool. A workout is a tool. To analyze this, let's say I've been working with this tool for a year. I'm pretty good. I can get results. I've been working with it for 5 years. I'm even better. I can really get results. The exact same thing when a kid is learning to ride a bike. Theoretically, they can watch me ride a bike and I can get to my destination 10 times faster than that person because I know how to ride a bike. I then give the person the bike and say, here, try riding this bike. If they look like, wow, great, Rad's doing that bike. I'm going to hop on and I'm going to get there. And then you get on the bike and you fall immediately, realize it's not actually that easy to ride a bike, to meditate, to fast. Nizam's asking my YouTube channel, link in the bio. It's Radoslav Detchev. If you just search Radoslav on YouTube. So it's easy to ride the bike if you have experience because you've failed at riding the bike. No one rides a bike and just gets it. So really, when you understand this, it allows you to succeed in anything in life. You would not have succeeded riding a bike and then have a tool to get you from point A to point B much faster than walking. Likewise with driving a car. Likewise with being able to pay money and access an airplane. The more you level up time, money, energy, skills in the direction you're trying to go, then that tool becomes useful to you. An airplane is useful if it's the wrong flight and you're going the wrong direction, because now you're stuck for 10 hours going the wrong direction and you have to wait another 10 hours once you get there to get another plane back. So there's always dangers, risks to everything and knowing how to use the tool. So coming back to it, for fasting, it all starts with purpose and motivation. Why do you want to fast? You want to lose weight. You want to feel good. You want to be around for your children. You want to do better at work. You want to have more energy. You want to get rid of back pain. Cool. Really establishing why is the biggest tool I can give you. From there, what a lot of people do, and I've certainly done this myself in the past with fasting, is they focus just on the fasting. If I fast for 20 hours, eat one meal, just like Rad is saying, just like Rad does, well, then I should get results like him. Well, if you're eating McDonald's for your breaking the fast, and great, you're doing only one meal, you're getting all this autophagy, all this recovery in your body from the fast, you're still building your body with shitty food. What people don't understand is food is not fuel. We've heard this so many times. Food is fuel. Food is fuel. You are not like a car. Okay, yes. If you put the wrong gas in a diesel machine, it's not going to work. You can't put petrol into an electric car. You need electricity. Likewise, you can't put certain foods in your body that you won't function well. However, when you put fuel into a car, the car doesn't rebuild its engine and tires and seats from it. That's why you're not like a car. Your body's literally rebuilding every cell in your body as you speak all the time, constantly turning over cells. So if you want health and all those things you're trying to achieve from fasting, you need to modify the diet. If I'm eating bad food and then my heart cells are being created by that bad quality food, I'm going to have a bad quality heart. If I'm eating McDonald's and drinking soda and my liver cells are being turned over at that moment and using that as my fuel source, the cells in my liver are no longer going to be good. The cells in my skin are not going to be good. My bowel movements are not going to be good. Many things will not be good because of the food I'm putting in my body. So food is not just calories. It's not just energy. It's literally what you're built from. As Paul Chek says, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And another thought comes to my mind on this one, very important. If you guys have seen knees over toes guys or Ido Portal or joint strengthening exercises, I love joint strengthening exercises, going beyond the toe, pushing my body. If you're an average person eating poor quality food, your joints are made of poor quality material. It's like building an apartment. If I build it out of cardboard, it's going to collapse after a few years. That is the equivalent of food, is Everything you eat is building the building up above it. It's like the next floor and then the next floor and then the next floor. If you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, you're seeing everything from up here, but you have cardboard floors over here that are falling apart in shambles that's making everything else fall apart. If you're trying to address, I have a headache or I have stomach pain or whatever issues on this surface, but you're not coming back to what is underneath here, you're missing the point. You're not going to succeed in your journey and your quest. It's 6 foundation principles: thinking, breathing, movement, nutrition, hydration, and sleep. Always come back to that: thinking, breathing, movement, nutrition, hydration, sleep. Any pill, any surgery, any meditate, whatever practice you're doing, if it's taking you away from doing that basic thing, so let's say fasting. If you're fasting for 20 hours, but then you're so hungry that you eat everything, you eat all the ice cream, you eat all the chips, then your nutrition is failing because you're fasting. And a better alternative, and I love fasting, I'm a big fan. I'm telling you, it's a double-edged sword, that if you're not eating good foods, your body is just absorbing whatever you're putting into it even more. If I don't eat for 20 hours, that food that I'm taking in, it's like, oh, give me that food, put it in right now. It's even more absorbed. So if that food is worse because you're starving and you can't fill yourself with what you have, and I've been there, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're just going deeper into disease. Addressing food first. So I just talked to a new client a few hours ago. We just did a consultation. If you're interested in consultations, link in the bio down there. So we did a consultation. She was dealing with some digestive issues. And on the surface, she gave me a list of a few things she was doing. And then you dig a little deeper. It's like, okay, well, you might want to take this out. You might want to take this out. Getting really specific on the details of the food. So originally she said she had eggs for breakfast. Gave me her lunch, gave me her dinner. And it's like, okay, what are you putting in your eggs? I'm putting it was cheese, tomatoes, and there was a few other things. So eggs on the surface, I think, are probably really good. You have to test and tune into your own body to see if it works for you. But without that knowledge, that little extra, oh, you're having cheese, your body doesn't do well with cheese. It doesn't matter what else is in that meal and how amazing it is. If you're allergic to cheese, that cheese is, the whole meal is kind of ruined because your digestion isn't doing well. And then you're not building your cells, you're not repairing properly. Okay. Anything else? I might cut this off soon. YouTube peeps, hit that like button, limit some comments, whatever you want. I'll be available for 5-10 minutes. Suggest some weight gaining foods. All right, Naya. Weight gaining foods. I've been doing a lot of white rice. If you have any digestive issues, I was diagnosed with IBS. If you eat white rice versus brown rice it's in an unprocessed form. It's like how they pick it. White rice is essentially polished brown rice where they take off the husk and a lot of the fiber. It's much harder to digest brown rice versus white rice. I found this out the hard way. I was stuffing brown rice down my throat because it's an amazing bodybuilding food, but my digestive system wasn't handling. I can eat a lot of rice because it's simple and easy to digest if you're trying to put on weight. White rice, consistent. If your digestion is not good, it's going to be hard to put on weight. White rice, sweet potatoes. I like taking a shot of apple cider vinegar before eating. Helps with my digestion. And then organ meats. If you're having some liver, some heart, some kidney, stuff like that, that will also provide a lot of nourishment to you. But for gaining weight, predominantly, you got to eat a lot and you have to absorb a lot. So if you're eating a lot and you're having massive poops later, you're probably not absorbing much of it. Right now I'm doing OMAD, 1 meal a day, and my meal takes an hour. It's massive, anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 calories, just massive. When I go to the bathroom the next day, it's not that big. Like it's a reasonable amount. Sorry to talk about my stool here for you guys and girls, but it's like, it's well, nice formed, not stinky. And it's just not massive versus when I had like serious IBS issues, real serious, like I'm talking going to the bathroom 10, 20 times a day, constant gas, constant bloating, just awful. And trying to force feed myself so I can gain weight. Awful. I was going to the bathroom, just everything was coming out. Nothing was being digested. Nothing was being absorbed. This was a mistake. So if you're talking foods that'll help you gain weight, it's foods that you can easily digest. White rice is being one of those. I used to try and add like butter and olive oil to my white rice to help add more calories to it, but I noticed that affects my digestion. It's also not the best to have high fat and high carb in the same meal. That's highly inflammatory, especially if you have any heart issues or blood vessel issues already. Not a good idea. Jean et Curieux, talking about cheese being French, I was wondering what cheese is your favorite? If I had a favorite cheese, I guess it's mozzarella because I'm basic like that. But cheese does impact me. So if I have it, it's like a little treat, and I'm aware of what the consequences could be. Butter, fresh cream, raw milk, cheese, good for bulking. That's what Jean is saying. If you can absorb it and it goes well, raw milk is amazing for bulking. Raw stuff, pasteurized milk, pasteurized dairy, people eating yogurt to get probiotics. I don't recommend that kind of stuff. It's a waste. It's dead material. It's been heated, and that pasteurization process basically makes all the energetics and all the enzymes of that food destroyed. So airplane food, prepackaged meals, generally there's very little nutrition and energy in that food. And in order for your body to start processing that food, it has to take energy from itself. So that food is no longer providing energy and vitality to you. It's actually taking it away from you. And if you do this for 30, 40, 50 years, you really notice the effects. There's two types of aging. One is chronological aging. So Earth goes around the sun however many times. That's how old I am. Then there's biological aging, which they usually tell by telomere length, or basically the stability of your DNA. If your DNA is nice, stable, strong, you keep producing the proper proteins, your body keeps functioning well. As you age, get older, have degenerative diseases, chronic diseases, not taking care of yourself, those telomeres, the DNA start to multiply and not be correct. And cancer start forming from there. So you have biological aging. That's why someone who's 50, two people that are 50, one might look like they're 40, one might look like they're 70. Too much stress, not enough stress. It's all balance of health. Let me just touch on cancer and fasting for a half second. I'm not a medical doctor. Do more research, do whatever you want. What's up, Riley? Money for cancer cells. So when your body has cells in itself, you have blood cells, you have muscle cells, you have different tissue cells. In that cell, there's a self-destruction code. After X many days, or if this appears, self-destruct. This is a protective measure. A cancer cell is a cell that has mutated and lost the ability to self-destruct. It's a very weak cell because of that, but it's a cell that just doesn't die, and it keeps feeding off of the sugar that you put into it. As this happens, it multiplies, but it doesn't kill itself. There's no self-destruction. This is why fasting is such a powerful tool in anti-aging, anti-cancer. Again, consult with your doctor. Read plenty of books out there. If you believe in autophagy and the effects of fasting, it basically starves those weak mutated cancer cells and kills them because they will not self-destruct themselves. You have to spend a few days doing certain protocols, look into that, eating certain foods to help initiate the death of these cells. I have cancer cells. We all have cancer cells. Just to the degree that it's actually impacting us is based on how healthy you're living and what you're doing. I'm not saying fasting is a holy grail, but it is a good way to help maintain a better body, a better optimization, because all those weak cells in your body, when you fast, are basically turned into food. They die because they don't have a food source, and then other cells start to repurpose and reprocess the proteins on there to make themselves healthier, and only the strongest survive in that sense. Nea's asking, juice to detox excess waste in kidney. I am not a big fan of juice detox, juice diets. I personally don't have enough experience, but this is just my thought process on it. Unless it's like celery juice. I really like celery juice. I'm going to be biased on that one. I've had good experiences with celery juice fasting. When you're juice fasting, you're putting a lot of sugar into your system. So you're not actually fasting. You're just removing different foods. And it's kind of the equivalent of drinking soda, milk, juice when it comes to drinking that. Yes, you are getting, actually, no, you're not getting any vitamins from these juice fasts unless you're juicing that vegetable, fruit, whatever, right then and there. If you're buying juice from the store, there's no live enzymes, there's damaged vitamins, damaged minerals from the heat and from the duration. If I was to pick an apple off the tree and eat it right away, that's its freshest, most nutritious state for vitamins. If I let that apple sit for a few days, the vitamins start to degrade and they start losing the quality. So if you're having a juice for your detox that's been a few days on the shelf, a few weeks, a few months, that's not really doing any benefit. Now you're just drinking sugar because the vitamin and mineral content have been degraded. Also, really important to note is that our soils have been destroyed over the past 50 to 100 years. There's studies on this where they take cabbage or spinach, whatever, compare the nutritional contents from 50 years ago, and there's 30 times less nutrition. If we're talking vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, all these different things, yes, you're told to eat fruits and vegetables for those vitamins and minerals, but depending on where that specific food was grown and under the conditions it was grown, it's going to affect how much vitamins and minerals are in it. So even if you are juicing, even if you are eating vegetables and vegetables and fruits, you might not be getting the real nutrition that you're trying to get from it. So there's my little take on that. How can you fast when you have acute acidity? Fasting seems to aggregate acidity further. Bina, okay. I think I'm going to touch on a point, but I need more information. When I'm thinking acidity, I'm assuming you're feeling like a heart burning, things shooting up sensation. Google this, don't take my word for it. You have this pyloric sphincter here that's closing the gap between the esophagus and the stomach. When you eat food, peristalsis happens, that food comes down, but then there's supposed to be a locking system to basically stop food from regurgitating and coming back up. If you take something like an antacid, which decreases your acidity, which makes it harder to absorb foods, which makes it easier for parasites and fungus to come inside your body, many negative things to antacids. Also because you're cheating yourself because you're eating food that you know will cause this acidity, like chicken wings and whatever bad food, but then you take an antacid to cheat it. You're turning off your body's alarm system and then putting in that thing that's causing it to alarm. But in your case, fasting is what's triggering it. When your body, if it's functioning normally, as you eat food, hydrochloric acid is produced in the stomach. This hydrochloric acid production is what triggers the closing of the sphincter in the esophagus. If you don't have enough acidity, the sphincter remains somewhat open, and now that acid's spewing up, and you're getting that feeling in your chest, in your heartburn, indigestion, acidity, because you're not actually acidic enough. So what you can try is to take a little bit of apple cider vinegar, take a little bit of lemon, take hydrochloric acid pills, supplements, to increase the acidity in your stomach. You need stomach acidity to function properly and to close this gap. If you spent many years taking antacids or having acidity problems or eating improperly or being under stress, there's going to be damage that's occurred to the sphincter and it's not going to close properly whether you take the antacids or not take the antacids, and you're going to need more than just a quick YouTube video to solve that problem. But I hope that gives you a little clarity. Great lunch content. What's up, Jen? We are live on the Instagrams, the YouTubes. If you don't know, if you're enjoying this content, you can book a consult with me, whatever health issues you're going through. Link in the description. You can also grab my book, How to Lose Weight Without Working Out or Counting Calories. It's a lifestyle approach to weight loss, and it goes beyond the physical. So very important when you take our society, modernization, we take the physical as like the base and the most important part. Okay, if I'm trying to lose weight, for example, count the calories, do the workouts. That's the physical aspect. Then you have the mental, emotional, spiritual aspects behind the person that are often not addressed and are actually suppressed. Mentally, why do you want to lose weight? Really get an understanding. Emotionally, why do you want to lose weight? What's it going to do for you? What are you trying to avoid? A lot of adults are just like children. They have addictions which can be seen as a child with a pacifier or a child with a blanket. It's what's causing and creating safety from the emotions they're feeling inside or the dangers they're perceiving outside. A blanket will protect you. Drinking alcohol will protect you from the feelings, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical that you're having. Taking drugs, taking medications, eating pizza, whatever food, avoiding a person, avoiding working out, they're all impacting your emotional, mental, and spiritual states. And what I like about my book is that I address those in a simple and easy way to go in for it. Because if you're not going in for that, you're only working 25% capacity. If you're only working the physical, you're only at 25%. So if you're trying to lose weight and you don't address the other three, you're moving at 25% speed. Once you really dial down the mental aspect of weight loss, the planning, the preparation, the who, what, where, when, why, the emotional aspect. Okay, why do I overeat? What's triggering my cravings? What emotion am I trying to avoid by doing this? Spiritually, the easiest example I can have, I'm not religious, is let's say you're Christian and God says, you do this, you're going to go to hell. You do this, you go to heaven. So as a child, this kind of becomes part of your belief that this is what good people should do. This is what bad people should do. But then inside you have this confliction of, I want to do this, but if I do, then I'm going to hell. And that's the spiritual aspect that people don't tend to go into. So whether it's like drinking wine or eating pork or eating cows or sex before marriage or divorcing your partner, whatever ism that your religion is espousing for you to follow, that plays a big role in your body physically. That becomes expressed because of the stress that's coming on, the limitations that's coming on. And let's say you have committed a sin for which you think there is no forgiveness, and you're just walking around in this shell of a body pretending that everything is okay, but you had sex before marriage, you divorced your husband or killed someone or stole something. That weight and burden will be projected onto your body. And unless you start unraveling and removing beliefs and addressing, like, do I believe this? Why do I believe this? Any weight loss, weight gain, strength training goal will be hindered by that factor. Beginning workouts, should you try to work out every day, every other day? Work out every day. Commit to like 10 minutes. If you can get a trainer, get a trainer. If you have like a good program, get a program. If you can have a community around your training, even better. That's what's going to keep you accountable, making it enjoyable. Mike, nothing but love for you. Thank you. Kira says, as someone who has bought the book, I would recommend it. Thank you for the recommendation, Kira. You can get the book from my website. You can go to Amazon. Even if you're not trying to lose weight, if you're just trying to be healthier, highly recommend it. There's just a lot of, it's not a diet book. It's not a preachy book. It's not telling you, this is what here's the progression of my knowledge as I've come through this, about 10 years of knowledge. I would read a book. Keto's amazing. Oh, look at the scientists breaking down all these studies. Keto's the one. You do that for a few months. You read another book on carnivore. Oh, look at all these studies. This guy's telling me this is the one. This is the one. Okay, a few more months, a year goes by. Vegetarian is the one. Okay, vegetarian's the one. I do that. Paleo. There's so many different diets. When you read their books, there's just such a skew towards what they want to see in the science and how they want to explain things. In my book, I teach you how to listen to your body first. Yes, I give you suggestions for how the body works, what foods are probably going to be best for weight loss and health. However, I always encourage you to not listen to me. You to listen to your body, and I teach you how. When you eat a food, you can put the calories in your thingy, blah, blah, blah. Watch your weight, look yourself in the mirror, check if your clothes are working. But the meal, like not basic, but the most important thing is to tune into your body. Do I have a headache after eating this? Do I have heartburn after eating this? Do I have bad stools after eating this? Shell is asking to show us the book. Hold it up, please. All right. I'm going to go grab my book. But before I do that, I'll be back in literally 10 seconds. Just do a breathing hold exercise. I don't want you to stare at a screen and just do nothing. So breathe in through your nose right now and see if you can hold your breath until I come back. Okay, breathe in through your nose, hold your breath. I'll be back in 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. I only was able to grab a draft copy with this line in it, but my other one's upstairs. I don't want to run all the way upstairs. This is the copy of my book. It is reversed for all of you out there: How to Lose Weight Without Working Out or Counting Calories, a lifestyle guide to healthy weight loss. Amazon, link in the bio. You can go grab it. It's about 200-page read. I'll read you some of the chapters in it. It's basically everything I'm talking about here on this live put together in an actual cohesive manner. So part one, we talk about you can lose weight, how Jen lost over 50 pounds during lockdown. I had another client during lockdown lose 70 pounds. So if you go to my website, you can see their photos. We talk about why you can't get rid of stubborn belly fat, how to turn on your fat burning mode, why I don't like counting calories, a few other things. And then we talked about reprogramming your brain. So mentality is very important. Yeah, you can release your breath. Someone's asking. Shell's going to buy the book. Thank you. Thanks for the support. Hope you enjoy it. I really tried to put my heart and soul into this thing. So I hope it helps as many people as it can. But we talk about identifying your desires, your healthy lists, your reasons for being healthy. Because we've all been there when time gets tough and you don't want to do the workout. You don't want to eat the salad. A lot of it revolves around the mentality and thoughts. So if you don't start clearing those negative thoughts and associations, so let's say you're trying to start working out and you go to the gym and you start making these associations from the past. Horse bought the book. Thank you. Excited. Get it? So you start making these associations in the past. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what I'm doing in the gym. I'm sweating. My body hurts after. This is bad. So anytime you're in the gym, you just say these negative thoughts, which makes you not want to go to the gym. So you keep reinforcing not wanting to go to the gym because X, Y, Z. Is it going to be easy to lose weight and work out when you have negative mentality towards it? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult to lose weight in that sense. If, however, I'll give you one more example. Let's say you're eating salads instead of a burger to help you change your diet habits. As you're eating that salad, if you're cursing yourself, like, I wish I had a Snickers bar. I wish I could get some McDonald's right now. I don't want to eat. This doesn't taste good. You're not going to keep eating that salad because, let's be real, you're not going to keep eating that salad. But if you can reinforce positivity of, I'm eating this salad to lose weight. I'm eating this salad to take care of myself. I love taking care of myself. Then that habit becomes more ingrained and your body starts being much more willing to do it without the need to force yourself to do it. Do you need to force yourself to watch Netflix? No, because you have an association that when I sit and watch Netflix, it makes my body feel good. I can chill and relax. Okay, so then making the association, when I go to the gym and I eat a salad, my body looks really good and I feel really good. You have to make connections between the two. Another example, I've been using it on my Instagram to help people is, let's say I'm going to bed and I start watching YouTube videos. This is a habit I've had for a very long time in the past. If I read a French book or something to like I read before going to bed, I wake up, I've slept much better because I didn't have that blue light messing with my melatonin. And in the morning, I'm much more motivated. So I'm making the connection between if I do this, read before bed versus watch YouTube videos before bed, the next 12 hours, I get much better results. Same with working out. If there's an inhibition to, okay, I don't want to work out, I don't feel it, but I know in 12 hours or in 2 hours, I'm going to feel great and it's going to produce better results than sitting on the couch or eating bad food. This is what that book starts to help train you and give you exercises to develop. All right, we've been live for about an hour. I saw a comment. Someone was, need to clear my thoughts from the south side of Chicago. Okay, clearing thoughts, Mike. Very important. If you want good mental health, I learned this recently. Not how to have good mental health, but two concepts that I can merge. So in Chinese medicine, you have the concept of unfulfilled desires cause stress. And we constantly are having unfulfilled desires. I want a burger. I don't have one right now in front of me. Unfulfilled desire, I get stress. I want to be around that person right now. I want to go do jujitsu. I can't. Immediate stress. I correlate that to something I learned in Vipassana recently about cravings, attachments, and aversions, is that as you create these attachments and aversions and cravings, that leads to misery. that leads to suffering. Same way as if you have unfulfilled desires, it leads to suffering and misery and stress. If you want to be in a good state of mind, yes, you try to avoid thinking about the future or the past and just focus on the present through meditation practice. But equanimity and meeting everything in life with equanimity is what helps to blunt the impact of attachments, of aversions, of cravings, of unfulfilled desires. So I want a burger right now. I want to be around this person. I want to do jujitsu. I get that feeling and that sensation that my body's producing those good feelings, but then I can't have them right now because it's not here. Practicing equanimity is what's going to help you have a good state of mind. So equanimity is when you sit in balance and you observe. Something bad is coming through. You're getting a bad emotion, a bad feeling. You just watch it and observe it rather than, oh, this is bad. I'm going to yell. I'm going to feel angry. I'm going to engage in it. Or I'm going to numb it. I'm going to have ice cream. I'm going to take drugs. I'm going to drink alcohol to not feel this feeling. Likewise, if you do have something that's really good, let's say going to jujitsu, and you've had a few classes that are going really well, so you get this craving and this excitement that every time you go to jujitsu, it goes well, and you're attached to that versus meeting it with, this is a good feeling. I'm watching this good feeling happening. That's it. No attachment. If you don't have that and you go to jujitsu, or you go do a workout and the results are not what you want and you feel bad, now you have an aversion. What you were once craving has now made you feel bad because you go into jujitsu and you're beating everyone, but then one day you get beat and you feel bad. Thoughts. It's all about equanimity. Romanera says, I could listen to your advice and knowledge all day, 24/7. I'm thinking of starting a podcast. The Mindful Radical Rad Show Life podcast. Are people actually wanting to listen to long form content that I curate and put together? Something like this, maybe like 20 to 40 minute sessions where I focus on specific topics and integrate it into health and wellness. Is that what people want? It seems like a lot of effort, and I need people to want it because I already have like a lot of stuff I'm trying to do, making those YouTube channel videos, making the Instagram videos, working with clients. I was thinking about writing a new book and making a new course. My brain just fires creativity left, right, and center. And then just you have to keep with it. So podcast, that is something people want. Type yes. Reach out to me. Tell me to make this podcast. Any tips to get over someone you love deeply but ghosted you? Thoughts about that. Well, damn. That seems like something I'd have to one-on-one extrapolate with you a little more, but you love someone and then they ghost you. Sounds like an attachment or a craving to that object or person. Actually, this was really interesting. This might help you. The person you think you love doesn't exist. Anyone in your life really doesn't exist to the degree that you think that they exist. I'm going to use an example and then I'll make this more relative, more real. You meet someone one time and they're a jerk to you. They steal from you. They try to hit you. You remember their name, their face. They're a bad person. 20 years later, you meet that person again. Oh, they're a bad person. They did this to me. In my mind, this is a bad person. But over the 20 years, they could have become a saint. They could have donated $1 million to religion, fed the hungry. You have no idea, but your mind has an image of what that person is. Likewise, you meet a person, they're amazing and wonderful to you. You've only met them once. They made you feel so good. You meet them 20 years later, they could be the devil. But in your mind, that mental image you painted of that person, they're an amazing person. So anyone you know in your life, what's up, Karen? It's good to see you here. Anyone you know in your life, you have an image of them. And anytime they break apart from that image, it shatters your reality. Likewise, when you have an image of yourself, and whenever you mess up, say something wrong, do something bad, you shatter your own image, and you can feel viscerally what that feels like. So this person you love that ghosted you, you have this image of them, but you don't really know and understand what's in their mind and what made them want to ghost you. And from that sense, like, they were never really there in the sense that you thought that they were. And now you're holding on to that image of love and compassion, and that this person was someone I loved. But that's not the image that they're projecting in their head of you and of themselves and of that relationship. And the more you try and hold on to that illusion, the more pain you're going to feel. I hope that helps. All right. Maybe I will do a podcast. Maybe do a weekly live record and then put it all together as a podcast. We shall see. Anyways, thank you all lovelies for coming out, smashing the like button, leaving the comments, engaging. When you see my videos come out, please hit that like button, hit the comment. If you don't, Instagram and YouTube will not send you my content. That's just how the algorithm works. Yeah, sharing my love. Again, if you want a consultation, if you want to talk about anything personal, health related, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, working out, link in the bio, book a consult with me. You can grab my book too. Lots of love. Peace out, everyone.